Hi, my name is Jason, and this is my introduction to the internet, and you're going to listen to me yap for a long time. Now, you're my friend. I'm just going to talk to you like you're one of my friends. This camera is strictly for me, and I'm just going to talk about some things that make me who I am and explain why I am the way that I am and how I got here and all this other stuff. So, having said that, in this video, I'm also going to discuss why you should never work for someone else, or why I think you should never work for someone else, and why it should be avoided at all costs. Okay? I grew up very poor. Okay, we didn't have a lot of money. We were rich in love. Oh, not rich in money. So, trailer park, urban neighborhood, etc., etc. I don't have to go into that right now, but it helps paint a picture of the way my brain works. And so, when I was 18 years old, I got into a little bit of trouble, just a little bit, and ended up, it was nothing insane. It was just a little destruction of property, But anyway, I got in a little bit of trouble, and then when I came out of that trouble, I said, man, I'm never going to be in trouble again. And I thankfully have not been in trouble since then, because that's not my problem. My attitude is against bosses. I don't like bosses. So the first reason why you should never work for someone else, in my estimation, is because if you work for someone else, they oftentimes can dictate when you can eat and when you can go to the bathroom, which is insane to me. Another grown adult, another human person who is not in your family tree or family system. I guess I could have just said family. Someone who's not in your family telling you when you can eat a meal. I'm sorry. I'm a fully formed, fully functional human adult. No one's going to tell me when I can put food in my mouth. Only me, right? Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we don't have the luxury of being our own boss. I don't know how to be my own boss. I didn't either. And I didn't go to college. I dropped out of high school. I got a GED, I think, when I was 15, maybe 16 years. I'm pretty sure I got my GED when I was 15. Because I wanted to work. I knew how to work, right? So even though I don't like working for other people, I did it because you have to. But I didn't like it. And I'm telling you about the things that made me hate it. So somebody telling me when I can go to the bathroom? No. I don't like that. And I'll circle back to the thing about becoming your own boss. And trust me, I'm not one of those people who's going to come up with some sort of like system or product that I'm going to sell you. I've already done that in the past. It's so boring. There's no real value for the end user, I don't think. So this isn't all leading up to something like that. This is just me talking, okay? This whole channel is just going to be me talking and maybe doing cool stuff. Like right now, I'm on the way to meet my friend at a business that we are considering purchasing. So we're thinking of, oh boy, I'm getting pelted, by the way, by gravel from the truck in front of me in my Tesla, which my Tesla's driving. Anyway, I'm meeting my friend today to hang out at this business. We've been there before, that we're thinking about buying or taking over from a friend of ours. But anyway, back to my list. Number 2, the second reason why I hate working for other people and why you shouldn't do it if you can avoid it is because that person is completely in control of your life, basically. If the owner of that business or the big giant corporation wakes up one day and says, all right, this location isn't making enough money, or this officer isn't making enough money, or we need to save $30,000, they'll lay you off, they'll fire you. They won't even think twice about it. You're gone. Done. Finished. Your whole career down the tubes. And then you have to find a job. And I don't know if you know this, but finding a job right now is pretty hard from what I hear. I know some people who are struggling right now trying to find a job. So I don't like that at all. Someone else being in control of my destiny, someone being in control of my income, I just cannot do it. And one of the first examples that I had of this, one of the first tastes of this that I ever got was back in 2007. Yeah, 2007, okay? I had a job working for a telephone company in their business sales department. This is back when people would go around to businesses and sell them internet, like T1 lines and DSLs and all these other like different internet solutions for businesses. So we would have to go B2B, and I was working for a pretty big company, and I liked my coworkers. I fell into the misery of it being a cubicle job, sort of like, cubicle in the morning and then going out and making sales calls in the afternoon. But I fell into that sort of rhythm, and I felt myself getting comfortable, and the money was pretty good for how young I was. I think I was probably 25 when I was working there, and I was making a decent salary. I couldn't believe that I was on a salary. It was my first salary job ever. And I was doing okay at the job, and then just one day, we started getting pulled into the office, right, by our team leader, and she told us the company's doing layoffs. We don't know who we're going to lay off yet, but we have 2 sales teams, and we're going to narrow those sales teams down to 1 sales team. So I'm doing interviews with everybody to see where your head is at, what your thought process is, how you feel about this. And I was perplexed, man, because like, who in the world pulls somebody into an office and starts saying, yeah, there's a pretty good chance, a 50-50 chance that you're going to get fired. Let me know how you feel about that. So, of course, when it came time for the layoffs, I got laid off. And, my team got pretty much eradicated. And that let me know that despite my manager smiling in my face and my coworkers and the team building stuff, like going and riding go-karts and going to the movies and lunch and all this, company culture and all this other weird stuff, team building we were doing, they did not care about me for a second, because the minute that they needed to save a penny, I was out. They threw me out like trash faster than they hired me. So no severance. Here's your Cobra insurance. By the way, it's $1,300 a month, blah, blah, blah. So that is the big thing about my second point. That's where I really got it. I said, I can't do this. I can't work for someone else who can just shut my income off at any time. And then the third big reason is pretty simple. You are never going to get rich working for someone else. And many of you may not want to be rich. I always aspired to be rich because I was so poor. I think it's a broken part of me that I have never been able to shake it, right? And no matter how much I try to be content with the way things are, and how my financial situation looks like and how my assets look and things like that, no matter how that situation, and trust me, that situation goes up and down. Sometimes it's very bad. I fall flat on my face. Sometimes it's very good. I'm a risk taker. But I just can't shake that part of me that always wants to excel. And so, I probably shouldn't say you're never going to be rich working for someone else, because you very well can get rich working for some companies in the right circumstances with the right degrees. I think like software engineers and, regular engineers and doctors and things like that. But again, you're putting all your eggs in that other person's basket, a basket that your hand isn't holding and you have no control over. And I can't do that. But, starting your own thing is not always easy. Some of the first things that I did were not necessarily businesses, but were opportunistic things. Like I saw things that I could take advantage of, and sometimes they worked and sometimes they didn't. A good example would be when it was really, really hot outside, when I was probably in my early 20s. There was a park in the city where I live, and if you were walking through that park, there were no vendors or anything like that. So unless you brought your own water, you didn't have water, right? So I would go, I remember like the whole park, there's like this bottom, and then the park starts at the top of this really, really big hill, right? So I would stand at the top of that hill and wait for people to go down and then walk back up that hill and be sweating and stuff. And I would just have a cooler and a backpack full of just bottled water. And I would buy the bottled water for, man, this was like 24 years ago, guys. Maybe 23. I would be buying these 24 and 32 packs of bottled water for $1.99. I'd sell the bottles for $1 a bottle. So I could take $2 and turn it into $24. It was 12xing my money. And I would go down there and I could easily sell 2 cases of water every day. Now, the city didn't like that because it was a public park, and I eventually got ran off. It wasn't a ton of money, but for, early 20s guy who already had some other stuff cooking, I was playing music at night, getting paid for that with my dad. And, I was hustling because I didn't like working for other people. So I was hustling. So, I don't think anybody should... I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the people who like careers and the people who work for other people and are very happy about it. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not about that. I don't like making people feel bad about the choices that they make or the things that they do. But what I will say is, for me, if I could pick it for the world, I would pick it to where no one in the world worked for someone else. Now, that society would collapse immediately because, people have to do things, right? But, have a side hustle that enriches your life, that, can move you out of whatever situation you're in or get you to where you want to be or get the things that you want to have for yourself. I started off doing side hustles before I had my own businesses and stuff like that. Which, by the way, I want to tell you, I'm not by any means I'm not some crazy successful businessman. I'm some idiot who kept getting lucky over and over and over again. That's the other thing. There's an element of luck to it and standing in the right place at the right time. I had an uncle who had some success in business, and I said, what's the story? What's the secret? And he said, just knowing when to say yes. Sometimes you'll negotiate a deal, or, you'll be in the throes of negotiation. And if you don't know when to say yes, you're going to ruin the whole thing. But the flip side to that is, I've learned that saying no sometimes can be better for you than saying yes. I've turned down deals that I needed desperately because I just didn't want to work with the person. I just didn't want to do it. And so, though I needed the money, though I needed the, exposure or whatever there would have been from working with this artist or this business or whatever, I just couldn't do it because my sanity is worth more than that to me. So let's see. We did number 3. Number 4, what did we talk about? Can't tell me when to go to the bathroom. And then you can't shut my income off whenever I want. That was number 2. Number 3, I'm never going to get rich working for someone else. And, oh yeah, number 4. This is the most important thing to me. I can't believe I had to number them out like that. Your time. Time is the most important thing that you can possess, right? Mostly because you can't possess it, right? You can't purchase it. It's intangible. You can never get it back if you waste it. You can't. There's no replacing time, right? And it's working against all of us. Time's going to get us all in the end. And I like to spend my time doing things that I'm interested in, or that are good for my family, or good for the people that I care about. But most importantly, I like to not waste my time. And you shouldn't waste yours either. And I consider working for someone else a complete waste of time. If I have a skill, or if I have something that I'm interested in, that I think I could turn into a stream of income, I'm going to focus on that. You should do it too. Time, having money is one thing, having time is so much better. If you have time, you don't have to be anywhere on anybody else's watch. Nobody's going to be asking you where you are and what you're doing, right? That's the biggest freedom in the world. Financial freedom is fun and fine. It really relieves a lot of stress, takes a lot of stress out of your life. But the time freedom, that's indescribable. I'll give you an example. Recently, we had an ice storm here in Virginia where I live, and we were going to lose our power. I can't go without power, okay? I'm bougie. I'm a little baby, a little princess, so I have to have like my internet, my TVs, everything, right? I need to be able to charge my phone, my laptop. I need to stay connected. So if the power goes out and I'm iced in, that's a no for me. I'm just not doing it. So I call up a cruise line and I say, you got to get me out of here. I have a contact at the cruise line. Shout out to I'm not going to say which one. The port's like an hour and a half from my house. So I hit him up and I say, get me out of here get me on the next ship out of here. And the ice was coming Saturday night, and I was on that ship Saturday morning with my wife and 4 of my kids. I have 5 kids. My oldest had to stay behind and get iced in because they still go to public school. So, whole nother thing. I homeschool all my kids, except for the oldest one who chooses to stay in public school. But we were on that ship, and we were down in the Bahamas while it was frozen up here. And I love that. That is a testament to being on no one else's timeline, nobody else's watch, because I can just make that call and I can just get out of here. And having the ability to be in control of my own time is priceless. I don't know what I would do without that. And if you can achieve that in some way, shape, or form, the money piece of it doesn't even matter. Just having your days be your days are incredible. It's truly incredible. 10 out of 10 would recommend for anyone. The piece of it that I think most people can relate to, though, it's the one that I relate the most with, is just being able to be there for the moments, for your loved ones, your family, your friends, being able to show up to the soccer games and being able to show up to the graduations and the school dances and the whatevers. If your friend is having a gathering, you can just go to it. If somebody invites you out of town for an impromptu getaway weekend or a trip or something, I can do that. My wife can pop away with her girlfriends for the week or whatever to do whatever. Just having that, and I think that's the most relatable thing, to be able to share moments with the people that you love and the friends that you've made along the way. That's why you really want to become free of the chains of being on someone else's clock. Which is why you shouldn't work for somebody else. I think that's the entire point that I was trying to make throughout this entire little drive to meet my friend. We're almost there, and when we're there, the video's over. Just so you know. Once this car parks itself, the video's over. And then I'll make another one at another time. But anyway, that was a baseball bat that you heard back there. Or softball, sorry. Everybody in my family plays softball for our church. But anyway, I hope that you take something away from this video, and I hope that you can find something to relate to in there. I'm kind of like an out of touch guy. I get that. Not everybody's going to relate to me or my life. I have a stupid, weird lifestyle. It's so strange, the life that I live. I can't even describe it. When people ask me what I do for a living, I can't even explain that. My parents don't know really what I do. They're my parents. They've known me forever. They don't really know what I do for a living. I can't properly explain to them what affiliate marketing or internet marketing is in a way that they can digest. And I don't think anybody really can. It's such a dynamic business, or such a, different way of living. I don't know. If somebody's trying to explain it to you, they're trying to sell you something. Don't buy anything from these internet marketing guys who can tell you they can teach you how to make money and stuff like that. It's completely fake. Totally fake. You're never going to learn how to make money from those guys. Could you imagine if you had a great business and then your next great business idea was, let me create a blueprint of this business I've created so I can create infinite competitors for myself and then make money off of that and then tank my first business. Let me just run my first business into the ground by creating the blueprint, the secret sauce that got me successful with this business, and sell it to everybody else. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, I'm ranting at this point. I hope that you're still with me. Shout out to everybody who watched this to the end, even though these videos are just for me. I feel like people might watch these.